Happy Monday, Thrive Nation. It's Dr. Tiana here. Welcome to Thrive Nation Inspiration, our weekly check-in with our community. And this week, I want to talk about divine design. And I had a situation that happened recently that made me pause to think about this. And I thought, oh my gosh, I have to share this with the community because I'm certain that somebody else has had an experience like this and was changed by it. And so what happened is I was at work and I had a meeting with a consultant who was also working with my client. And so we were having basically a debrief meeting to check in about our ending of the work with this client. And this consultant was going to continue the work and help them develop some strategic planning around our recommendations. And so when we initially scheduled the meeting, there were supposed to be, I think, 4 total folks on the call. So 2 additional people on the call, including myself and this consultant. And so the meeting comes, and the other 2 people were not able to make it. So it was just myself and the consultant. And I was like, that's fine. I was working on things leading up to the call. Wasn't a big deal. So we get on the call and this is the really important part. So I'm on right on the hour, right? Because I like to be prompt and on time, make sure, as the person sharing the information and facilitating the meeting, I wanted to make sure I was on time. So I sat there, a few minutes go by, and I'm working on other things. And I'm like, goodness, it's a few minutes, it's already 5 after, no email, no message, no nothing saying I'm late. Okay, what's going on? So I'm like, okay, something in me was just give it a little more time. Because normally when I'm working with clients, if they are beyond 5 minutes, I generally send an email. And then after 10 minutes, I generally say, I'm not able to, obviously this time doesn't work. Let's figure out another time, right? And I move on to the next thing. And so for this meeting, it gets to be 9 after. So I'm 1 minute away from sending this email, right? And the consultant logs on. So I'm like, okay, great. We can get to business, take care of everything. So we get on the call and we're just talking through, and I had actually created this closing memo for the client, and I shared it with the consultant so she could, review it and have a good understanding. And so maybe 10 or 15 minutes into the call, and it was an hour call, she says, well, this is just incredible. This is everything that I needed. And so she had, asked me to add, I think, one more thing into the summary and resend it to her. And so I said, that's perfect. That's sweet. And so then she says, yeah, I really believe that it was divine order for me to be here to talk to you. And I was kind of like, what? What do you mean? And so she starts talking about how, she had listened to some of the things that I had said and that I mentioned. And she talked about me noting previous that I had launched out and started my own business. And so she said, let me tell you. And so she gave me these 3 gems that she said are necessary in business. And as long as you have these 3 things, you have everything and everything else is extra. So the 3 things were competence. And so understanding what you're an expert in, what you do, being able to demonstrate mastery in your skill set. And then she said the second thing was having a portfolio of your work so that people could see who you are, what you do, how they would engage with you so they can kind of imagine what it would be like to work with you. And then she said the third thing is a network. And she said, a network is ultimately your net worth, right? And that for herself, building her business, she has pretty much built this business off of all referrals. And so we talk through that, right? And then she says something that completely blew my mind, because she said it in the same exact way and with the same exact words that I had used earlier that day. I was talking to a mentee, and she was asking me about my new schedule happening in April, where I'm going down to only working 3 days a week. And so it's a commitment to myself to better care for myself and to take care of my health in this season, and to just give myself a little more love, right? And so I said to my mentee, I said, yeah, I'm realizing that there are things in my life that I would like to realign and readjust. And I said, I'm needing a new order in my life. And I said, and I want to really be available. I feel like I need more freedom to be available to do the things that matter to me. And so she was like, wow, like, I'm so happy for you. I'm so excited for you. This was earlier in the day. So I'm on the call with this consultant, and she literally says, I think that there are things that happen in your life that make you realign your life and reorder the things in your life. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I literally started crying. Like I started tearing up, because I was like, this is outrageous. This is a divine designed connection, moment in time, right? And she said, just let the tears flow. And it was such a sacred time. We ended up on the phone for another hour, and she just poured into me, and she gave me affirmation after affirmation of how capable I am and how amazing she envisions me being, and being an entrepreneur and running my own business. And she actually shared real talk with me, like shared real numbers that how she grew her business and what she built in her business, and was so honest. And even saying, you know, when God told me to jump and leave my full-time cushy job, she's like, I didn't do it right away. I'm not gonna lie and say that I had this, you know, epiphany and I just jumped. And she's like, no, it took me 3 years. And so there was just something so sacred about this moment that I had. And ultimately, it made me think, like, I got off the phone and my heart was just so full. And I thought, how many times have you been in such a rush, right? Like you're asking God for things, you're praying for things, you're wanting things to shift in your life, or you're wanting a change in your life, and you're asking for clues, but you're not quiet enough to get the clues, right? So it made me think, what would have happened if I would have been in my normal rush to move on to the next thing, knock out the next task, and I would have sent the email and went on about my business, right? I would have missed God talking directly to me through a stranger. Like I had only met this woman once before on a call with the client. And so it wasn't a one-on-one encounter. And so this time, and I have to say she was a Black woman, and not much older than me, but she spoke into my life. She poured into my heart. And she just said all of the things that I needed to hear to continue walking this walk as an entrepreneur, as somebody who is desiring to honor God with my life and to help others believe bigger, believe more, to have a deeper faith and dependence and strengthen their walk with God. And so, y'all, it was just so powerful. It was so powerful. And so it made me want to challenge you all this week to not miss the divine design and not rush, not be in such a rush all the time that you miss those sweet moments when God comes down and just reminds you that he sees you and that he knows so intimately the desires of your heart, and that it is his will and his desire to meet those needs and to fulfill those desires, because desire is divine. And so the fact that you have an inkling or an urge or a desire to do something different, to be something different, that is an indication that heaven has already provided you with everything you need. And so if you were like me and you needed someone else to say that, to affirm that in you, or maybe you didn't know you needed it, either way, I'm saying it today to you, that you have everything you need, and you just have to step out and act in faith, because faith is active, right? Like, it is not something that we sit in and hope God will move. Like, no, faith is an active thing, and God blesses you in the doing, and he blesses you in the want to. And so as you continue to step out and make those courageous choices and changes and improvements in your life, he is with you. And so I'm so glad I got to share that story with y'all, because it was just such a sweet blessing. And it's just always so amazing for me when God confirms for me that he hears me, and that he's going to position me in the right place at the right time and send the right people into my realm. So keep believing and keep trusting that what is for you, because it is by divine design.